Yeah. I love this young lady. I love watching this young lady. That was a trailer right there from Deadpool 2. And DB, you want to do the honors real quick?
Oh, man. Well, Heather, Sway, Tracy, we all love people here. We all love guests who embrace themselves and, they embrace who they are as a person. And she comes from a very diverse background. She grew up in Harlem, actually, I believe, right?
Well, actually, Washington Heights. And then when I was 13, my mom moved downtown. Then I was Harlem, Washington Heights.
Okay. Semi-right about that part. But anyway, she came up in Broadway and doing theater. And then she eventually became loved as Vanessa on Atlanta, the FX series that we all love with Donald Glover. And now she's playing Domino in Deadpool 2, which I saw already, and she's awesome because she has a great personality. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's out in theaters tomorrow. Please welcome Zazie Beetz.
Wow. Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
He pronounced the name right?
Yeah, he did.
I've been shredding her name the whole morning. He killed it just like that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Harlem. Is it Harlem?
Harlem, yeah. I'm in Harlem now.
Okay.
I'm in, some people call it Soha, South Harlem.
What?
But I don't know about that.
See, I lived on 111th and 5th for a while. Okay, and I think that's what they call Heather B, like over by 110th, that area, a little bit of Soha, right? Like
yeah, but that's new. I don't know about all that.
Yeah,
they're trying to give everything a name.
Trying to destroy Harlem's legacy.
That's what they're trying to.
So much has changed though in the last 13 years. It's crazy. But I think that's all of New York is like that now. Like it's happening in the Bronx. It's going out to Queens. I mean, Brooklyn's been had it. It's like it's really changing.
And then your upbringing though. Well, so we were just talking about. Is it okay if I say it?
Yeah.
I was asking you about your mom, and didn't she come up live in Fulton Projects at one point? And it shocked you that I would know this kind of information. I even know something about your auntie, but I won't go into that.
What the hell? Yo, that
I mean,
sounds
because we're live on the air. I don't want to just, I mean, come on, y'all.
Don't give an address away.
Yeah,
but it's just crazy.
But I find that because when you never know what the layers behind a person that you might see on a hit series like ATL or seeing a movie like Deadpool 2. You just don't know what the layers are, and then when you're in front of a camera and you're doing these interviews, you're selective of what you want to offer. But I find those dynamics. That's what I like, the dynamics of where the dichotomy of where a person ends up and where a person began. And what was your upbringing like?
So my dad is German, came from East Berlin and came to the States after the wall came down. So it was about 6 months later, and then he came to New York to do some janitorial work for summer, and then
mark that the dad was a janitor.
He's a janitor.
Okay, you see where I'm going with this. Okay.
My dad has a high school equivalent. So he's a cabinet maker, so he did trade school, which there's also kind of the system was sort of different, but he then got his high school degree at night school, and my mom grew up in the projects, and so they met. They were working kind of upstate New York, and then they met. They were both kind of young, fell in love. It was all within a year, got pregnant. Then they went to Germany, got married there. They had me there, and then when I was a year, they came back to New York. And for my mom, it was important that I grew up around people that looked like me, since Germany doesn't offer that so much.
Yeah.
And then also she was alone and she was young, and it was kind of, I think, hard. That was a big transition for her at the time. So then they came back, and then
did they move back to the projects?
Yes, actually they moved in with my grandmother for some time.
Yeah. And
then they moved up to Washington Heights, and that's where I kind of had. That's where I grew up.
That's it. So you grew up in the Heights.
So yeah.
So Malikon or Carida?
You know what?
What would you choose? These, by the way, are Dominican restaurants.
Yes. We used to always go to Caridad.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, you like the salty chicken?
We did. We went there. That's
chicken.
So funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, come on, man. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
And so
okay, Dykeman Bar, La Marina.
Ooh. I don't know if I know those.
Shit.
I'm thinking. Let me
Very strong
think.
effort.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, DP.
You know, it's
tried.
so funny
I
though
know,
up
right.
there because everybody always thought I was Dominican. They always talked to me in Spanish. I'm like, oops,
Yeah.
Deutsch.
Yeah. What other languages you speak?
So German, I grew up speaking German. I was at home with my dad. And then, I mean, I took Spanish at school for a long time, but you know, like, I feel like it's like a lot of my friends spoke Spanish, obviously, and I feel like I can like understand it, but I don't feel like if somebody was gonna make me speak, like I can read it and I feel like I can understand most of it, but it's not gonna like really come out so well. But I was a French major in college, and so and I lived in France for a year, and I had a boyfriend there, and I did the whole thing, and blah blah blah, and
You kind of frown when you mention the boyfriend.
Yeah, nothing
This
else to blah, 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 blah.
Who blew it? He blew it or you blew it?
You know what? It was, I was there. I was 20, and I was like, yes, like croissants, whatever. And then, I was leaving, and I think in my mind, I kind of the whole time I sort of knew I was like, this isn't gonna. I'm going back to school, like And I think for him, it was sort of. I was entering his life, and I was having my year of abroad, and so it was sort of we were, I think, sort of in different places emotionally on that, and but we loved each other very much. So we just put that out there.
Like you dogged him. You left that man, huh? You left him.
I did.
Yes, yes. That's okay. That's okay. See, Heather, this is how men formulate their dynamic and how they communicate with women. It's usually first when a woman broke a man's heart that makes him go into that downward spiral into the doghood. Into a wolf. That's how I became a wolf.
Your heart was broken?
Somebody like Zazie, broke my heart, and then I became a wolf.
She was 20. She was in France, abroad. It's a new space. She's supposed to be there having fun. It's not her fault he took it too real.
Word.
What you mean?
And she was
He got real too soon.
He could see Deadpool 2 100 times, and that's how he'll catch
Oh
him.
my gosh! Can you imagine when he sees the movie?
Crying in the theater.
On demand ATL, bruh. Parlez-vous. Français.
Oh my God! So the movie's coming out like.
Love you.
Oh my God!
Je t'adjure. Jay-Z song. I love girls. She sounds like she's speaking French in the beginning of that record. You don't remember that song?
Girls.
It sounds like it's French. I can't-
or something like
Yeah,
that.
she said
Anyway,
something.
man, we had Ryan Reynolds came by.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he always
nice?
comes by. Was he nice to you?
Oh, yeah, he was.
Oh, okay. Did a casting agency pick you for the role, or did he actually audition you?
I think it came from a casting agent initially, the suggestion. But they were really excited about it real quick. I mean, I know they were reading with a bunch of other people. I actually accidentally kind of crashed a meeting where they were having somebody with somebody else, and the director was like, this is awkward. I'm like, I'm good. I'm going to order a tea over there. But he, we just had a meeting with the director and with Ryan, and that's usually kind of just to see like, do we get each other? Do we feel each other? Could this sort of ever work at all? And then a few weeks later, I had the audition with Ryan, and that was on camera. And we just read through some of the scenes. And a few weeks after that, I got the call. So it was actually pretty quick, in comparison to a bunch of other stuff. I mean, like, I auditioned for Solo. And girl, let me tell you, that was 7 auditions. They flew me out, this and that. And then, that I would say is probably usually more the process for sort of bigger films like that. And with Donald and I, we were texting the whole time. We were like, he was like, I sent you this, I sent him this tape and this and that. So we were trying to make it work. It didn't work. You know what? I'm so excited for them though. And, then I got Deadpool.
You got Deadpool.
So.
Man, well, shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Not a bad come
You
up.
felled up.
Right.
My God. Wow.
A lot of people don't realize is that Domino in the comics was actually white, or at least is presumed to be, and had the black circle around her eye. But in this movie, you with the white circle around her eye. were you aware of that before going into it, or did you find out after the fact?
No, I mean, I knew from the comics, obviously, that she was that she looked white. The creator specified that he never gave her a
definite ethnicity.
a definite ethnicity. Also, depending on the comics you look at and depending on the artwork, like sometimes she looks like Latina. Like she sort of has her like costume look is like painted out white, but then her skin color isn't always that pale. And also a lot of her alias names are like, they're kind of multinational. Like she uses a bunch of different ones. And so that being said, I mean, she looks whiter than me. But, you know, they were reading with all kinds of women. Like I wasn't the only one who was black that they were talking to. And it also was never really a conversation or an issue. Like for them it was kind of a no issue sort of thing. And I kind of went into it honestly a little bit concerned because I was like, I mean, I don't want to get like shit from people or backlash. But they were like, Ryan literally, he was like, I cannot wait for someone to ask me about that. So he was kind of like all for it from the beginning and had my back. And so that really made me feel comfortable about that, and I worried a lot less about that. And honestly, for the most part, it's been positive.
Yeah.
And as I think it should be, you know, there's so little opportunity for, you know, people looking like us to partake in something like this. You know what I mean? And like, there's so many other spaces that can be filled with people who look white, you know what I mean? And like, I think it was a beautiful gesture to do that. And the discussion of what she looked like then on camera came after I sort of came really to Vancouver to start shooting, and then we spent like a month going back and forth. The hair from the beginning they wanted out, which I was really happy about. And then the kind of the look of like, should we inverse the eye, should we not? We went back and forth on that, and then we finally ended up with that. And so it was definitely kind of like a very collaborative sort of, we were all kind of pitching in on what would work, what wouldn't work. And in the end, I think I felt then it was just important that I then captured her spirit and her essence as much as I could and brought that to the screen. So,
okay, well, I can't wait to see it, damn it. Zazie Beetz is here. I said it right this time? Zazie.
Yeah,
I
that's
killed that. Thank you. Merci
That was
beaucoup.
cute.
All right, everybody brought up the French too. All right, 888-742-3345. Give us a call. Sway in the morning.
Diplo.
From the soundtrack.
Yes, it is.
Deadpool 2.
Welcome to the party.
Featuring French Montana. Let's go. Who talk to him, BB?
She said, I want to be something other than an accessory you can fuck. I had to send that to a friend of mine because she's kind of going through a similar situation where she's after a guy, doesn't really understand what the boundaries are, what it is, what the definition of their relationship is. So I sent that to her, and she was like, I need to see her in person and like just thank her for that scene. So I feel about Donald Glover, I feel like he's sort of like the guy that people hate to love. You know what I mean? Like, he's done so many successful things, whether it's Atlanta, whether it's the This Is America video, whether it's, you know, Childish Gambino or his acting career. And working with him, like, everybody says he's such an inspiration, and he gives so many great ideas, and you know what I mean? So what has your experience been working with him?
You know, he started doing Atlanta and hired on a group of people who were all kind of like in the same space in their career, right? And so it's like it was this really interesting experience of like all of us like coming up sort of together. And I mean, he was kind of like at the top of it, and he was like, yo, call me seriously, like if y'all need anything. And has been a really good, like even now, just like this last week, I was like talking to him because I was trying to figure, I was like, this movie, I'm like, I don't know if I should do it, should I do it? And we were just like talking it out. And, you know, I think that because he really does he does challenge so much, like, you know, with Atlanta, I mean, just like challenging comedy, challenging sort of like black media, what people expect of that, like taking the laugh track out. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes people just don't know what to do with it. But they're still moved by it. You know what I mean? Like, but they don't know how to react to it. Like, somebody was telling me about the This Is America video. Somebody came up and he was like, yo, like, that video was dope. He was like, and I liked it, but I felt terrible. He was like, there was like, I had this like shivering in my spine. It was like, I felt awful, but like, I couldn't stop watching it. And I feel like some people with his work, it's just so authentic about like what the Black experience in America, right? And like, and that is what it's like, right? You know, you're going through your experience sort of constantly on guard. And I think he does such an interesting kind of interpretation of that with his work. And it's just real. And I think you can't ever knock real, right?
You agree with that, HB? I see you nodding every time I see you.
Because I love what you just said, and I love the fact that to have you, someone who talks to him when you guys are not working, and this is a bad word, but to protect him like this. I applaud you, sis, for doing that, because more people need to stand up for people that's unapologetically creative, that's authentic, and is willing to just dedicate themselves to lifting other people up as well. So.
Yeah, okay. We got Shadu on the line from Los Angeles. Shadu, what up? Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Sway, Tracy, everybody there. Hey, I just wanted to say I love you, sis. You're such a great talent, and I'm just so appreciative of the collective of artists that Atlanta, the show itself, has brought together, and the way you tell our stories is such a underserved and congratulated like task that you guys have taken on, and I really appreciate you guys. That's all I wanted to really say.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me to hear. I don't know. It's like when you realize like your work is actually impacting something. You know, you're doing your own thing. You're together. You're in this community of like 50 people, and you're just, you know. But then when you put it out in the world and you realize like, oh, people are hearing it and feeling it, like. That's amazing. So thank you so much. That really means a lot. And that show means a lot to me. So thank you.
Thank you for your call, Shadu. Marcus in Texas. Go ahead, Mark.
What up, Mark?
What up, Sway?
What up, man? It's Mark. Yo,
What's up, family? Talk it.
Man, long time listener. Like, man, I've been listening to you guys for years, Sway. I've talked to Steer. I've talked to Root Jude. I've been waiting for you to make it my Sway day to day.
You ready? Mark, you officially a citizen.
Sway in the morning, baby.
Oh, man, you in the game,
How
baby.
long? I've been waiting to hear that. I'm not even joking.
All right, thanks, Mark. Man.
All right, well, you heard it.
Talk to you later, Mark. All right, you got a call.
All right, Zazie. Man, don't play me like that.
Okay.
So basically, instead of asking you, for inspirational stuff, because everyone says the same thing, never give up. What I want to ask you, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, trying to make it, and I want to know what's your advice to someone growing up, struggling? Besides the don't give up, what are other things around them that you can give them advice? And the second part question is, did you feel Deadpool was a good fit because you just killed the guy in France emotionally?
Jesus. It's true. No, just
Okay. Okay, so the don't give up thing. I think that there is in our culture right now this lack of patience. I have to say, and I don't want to say that in terms of like don't give up. I think that there has to be this larger acceptance of sort of slowness and taking things step by step. And I don't know, one of my favorite quotes is nature does nothing in a hurry and yet everything gets done. And I think that if I think about for me, I feel like I try to go almost into everything in my life with sort of things are going to work out because they have to. There's no other way. If I'm going to continue surviving, the fact that, I'm waking up, is a things are working out. But I think in terms of art and stuff, honestly, the biggest thing, and I have to say for me, I was really lucky with my career. Like things happen very, very quickly for me, and I'm so aware of that and so aware of how rare that is. And but I have so many people who are so close to me who struggle and struggle and struggle so hard, and like they'll be so down, and then something will happen that will re-inspire them again. And it's, I think, about continuing to look for what is going to feed that soul again, and then also make your own shit. Just make it. And you don't have to have, like, you get your best friend, you get your iPhone. Let me tell you, one of the best movies I think it came out 2016, Tangerine. This man shot that on an iPhone with 2 non-actors. And like that movie, that story is so powerful. Y'all can watch it on Netflix. I think people always think you need all these resources, and you don't, especially nowadays. Like we have so many things that we have access to, and the grind is also like, if you have a day job, which I did, I'd be working like 10 hours a day or whatever, 6-7 days a week. And then at night, the next day in the morning, at 6 a.m, I'd have to get up and do an audition. And like, I think it's about also prioritizing then, if you have to do both, to also take that time. But I know that the never give up thing is so
stereotypical.
And I also think there is a thing of like engaging in multiple things. Like I also don't know if it's right if somebody's like, all I ever want is this one thing forever. You know what I mean? I actually think it's really healthy to have multiple interests. And like for me, even for myself, like I'm in this really blessed place right now. It's also introducing a bunch of other things in my life that I'm like trying to come to terms with in terms of like higher profile. And it's like I've had to also compromise my time or learn to reprioritize things. And that's been very difficult for me. But I also don't necessarily think acting is my last stop. So, I've been really lucky to come where I am right now, but I have always had a bunch of interests, for a long time. I was thinking of maybe even going into art, into graphic art, into painting. I used to make my own clothes. Like I'm interested also in like women's health. That's something I really, really want to get involved in. And I just keep thinking about like, how can I incorporate what I'm doing now into that as well? So I think it's also about expanding your net and expanding what interests you and what inspires you and what drives you. And to hit up your people and make your own shit. I think that's the best
Yo,
way to
give
do
us
it.
a round of applause. Hey, Mark. Mark.
Yes, sir.
I bet you never thought you'd get that kind of answer, huh?
What I was going to say is I actually have a marketing agency called FDZ Marketing. If you ever want to do anything, we got you on the house.
Thank you.
That's all we do is what I wanted to say is also, like, you kind of hit upon it, get your best friend.
Yeah.
And your best friend is someone that's always positive.
That's a wrap, Mark.
Basically, leave the negative.
That's a wrap, Mark. That's a Mark. Thank you, Mark. Hit her up on social media, Mark. What's your social media? What? Hey, come on, man. Mark was about to take it. I mean, he got a beautiful answer.
You're right. Z was thorough with it.
Yeah, right? Come on, man. We had a game we wanted to do that DB prepared. I'm not sure if we have. Do we have time? We don't have time.
Damn, we love talking to you.
I rambled on too much.
No. I really enjoyed that you give authentic answers. You take your time. You're careful. You think about it. You care. You're engaged. This isn't just. I don't feel like this is just a typical promo stop for you. I hope you felt our energy.
Thank you.
But you must come back.
I will.
Okay. Now I'll tell you how I know about your mom and your auntie. And just all right there.
The comics.
Zazie Beetz, ladies and gentlemen. I said it correct that time?
Next time.
Zazie?
We'll get there. I'll be back.
Damn it. All right. But congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
Check her out on Deadpool 2.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shea 45.